Welcome to this Axis and Allies 1914 video. This is the sixth in a series of 8 videos where we look at each country one at a time to examine their first turn moves, possible strategies, coordination with allies or other central powers, and then simulate what that would look like on the board. And we've gone through some of my recommendations for each country. We've been through Austria-Hungary, Russian Empire, German Empire, France, England, and now we are going to be taking a look at the Ottoman Empire. Now, if you remember from the other videos, the Central Powers thus far have chosen a Russia first strategy. Germany and Austria, while not completely letting France and Italy do as they wish, they are focusing most of their attention on Russia, trying to knock it out as quickly as possible. Germany, of course, took out the British Navy. The Allies, on the other hand, are focusing on an Ottomans first strategy. You'll see Russia attacked Mesopotamia, England moved in and reinforced and actually seized the territory, switched it from contested to captured. England also took Saudi Arabia, Transjordan, and France has moved its entire navy, 3 transports and 2 battleships in all, into the Mediterranean, and is in a position to drop off 6 units to try and contest the territory. Now, keep in mind we are playing by tournament rules, which means every country is in danger of economic or political collapse. Economic means they can no longer collect money and build units. Political means their country has completely dissolved, all of their units are removed, and they're out of the game. So, in layman's terms, that's really bad. You don't want that to happen. And when it comes to the Ottoman Empire, if 7 of their core territory, 7 productions worth, is either controlled by hostile forces or is contested, they go into economic collapse. If 9 productions worth of territories meets that requirement, they go in political collapse. And because of the amount of pressure, just in this first turn, remember, this is the Ottomans' first turn, because of the amount of pressure that has been placed on them, they are in danger of either political or economic collapse. It wouldn't be that big of a deal just dealing with the British over here and possibly the Russians and then the British down south. That's pretty standard. That isn't anything that the Ottomans can't handle. The problem is when you've got up to 6 units coming in from the west. Now, our cruiser, remember that Russia attacked and took out one of our cruisers at the cost of 2 of theirs, which may have seemed like a foolish move at the time, but now the Italian fleet or the French fleet really could come in, take it out, and drop off troops, so the entire Ottoman coastline is now threatened. And if the Allies are particularly astute, they might send the French in, they might send the Italians in to clear out that navy because they have fewer troops to drop off. So maybe they'll just go and clear it out and then let the French come in with their, and then the French would indeed get their 2 coastal bombardments along with their 6 units they'd be dropping off. And since they don't have to take control of a territory, they just have to contest it to potentially prompt economic or political collapse. This is an emergency situation for the Ottoman Empire. Currently, they're down 3 for production. So they can only afford to lose another 2 before they collapse. More than likely, that's going to be Smyrna right here. The problem is that there is no way the Ottomans can hang on to the Syrian desert on their turn. There are too many British forces with nowhere else to go. If nothing else, Saudi Arabia and forces could move in, and that's enough to take that territory. There's no reason to let that infantry die in vain, especially when there's so much else that needs to be done. Now, normally, I would recommend that the Ottomans take Bulgaria because it's a neutral that leans in their direction on their first turn, just as I would for any other country. You know, get the neutrals that lean towards you as quickly as possible. But in this case, I don't feel that the Ottoman Empire even has enough units as it is. I don't think it definitely can't afford to send any off on a venture that is not absolutely required. So we're going to have to rely on Austria to send 1 infantry there on its turn to bring the Bulgarians on our side, get some extra units and extra production. And if we can manage to stabilize our front, this turn is pretty dire, but there aren't going to really be more masses of units coming in through Egypt or up through Saudi Arabia. The Russians aren't really going to be devoting anything more to the cause. And the French Navy really isn't in a position after this turn to immediately next turn shift more units over. It's going to take them at least 2 turns to get more units, which works even better, because if they're all out assault on the Ottomans fails and they decide they want to go after Germany, their navy's going to have to go all the way around the board to get back up there to hassle Germany or resupply Russia in the north. They could attempt to resupply Russia through the south, but then every time they're going to be going through sea mines here. And yes, they only hit on a 1, so there's a 1 in 6 chance, but that's still a risk. And over a series of fleet movements, that is going to start adding up over time. So what can the Ottomans do? Well, I strongly recommend spending all of their money, let no dollar go to waste, on as many land units as possible. So I'm going to go with 1 artillery and 4 infantry. I haven't done the math, admittedly, on going 4 artillery and then hoping that your artillery anti-amphibious assault rolls succeed. Somebody can run the math on that if they want, but for now we're going to go with 1 artillery and 4 infantry. Now we know that if the French contest our capital, if they land and we don't wipe out their entire force in 1 round of combat, it will be contested. That's instant political collapse. That's the worst thing that could happen to us. But we know we can't keep the Syrian desert, so we're going to be down 1 more, so that's down 5, which means if we lose Smyrna, we're at 7, that's economic collapse. We also know that if we, instead of losing Constantinople, we lose Ankara, we are also in economic collapse, but not political collapse. None of these things are good. But we're going to have to assume that France is going to drop off 6 units and they're going to get both their coastal bombardments. It'd be foolish for them not to. So far the Allies have coordinated quite well, so we have to assume Italy is going to take out that cruiser. We also know that our forces in Ankara now, let alone if we reinforce them, there is no way that the British in Mesopotamia or the Russians are going to be able to take it. Chances are, statistically, we will hit 3 on defense, which would wipe out the Russians, and then the British have a smaller force, so we'd wipe them out too. They could try to both attack, Russians first and then England on their turn, to see what kind of damage they could do. Not a whole lot we can do about that. So we just have to make the most use of the units that we have. So the Ottomans have, at this point, 18 infantry, and they're going to get 4 more, so that's 22. So because all of our territories could be hit, 2 of them are going to lead to economic collapse, 1 of them political, but Smyrna can also be hit with that British force to weaken it up. I'm going to recommend that we place our infantry, so at the end of the turn we have 7, 7, 8. Which will be our 22 infantry. And we will, because all of our new units are going to go here, we'll just shuffle our units around so that that's the total that we get. And we're going to have a total of 5 artillery. So I'm going to recommend that, of course, we put 2 in Constantinople. Let's put 2 in Smyrna, because that's most likely to get hit with this British force. We need to be stronger. and then we would leave the other one over here. So in terms of what that means, at the end of our turn we'd move that artillery down, put our new artillery there. We need to move 1 infantry there, 2 infantry here, and because I knew we'd have all of these troop movements, I exchanged my dark chips for lighter chips, and then we will have our additional units here, and it'll look something like this, which, and then this unit, I miscounted, so this guy's gonna go up here actually. But in any case, we should end up with 7, 7, and 8 infantry. The dire situation of the Ottoman Empire is getting to me as I fumble with these chips, unable to stack them properly. So we should end up with 7, 7, and 8 infantry, and then 2, 2, and 1 artillery. And we are defending the 3 territories that absolutely must be defended at all costs. We're going to consolidate our forces there simply because we really don't have any other choice, in my opinion, at this point. And we're going to have to let the chips fall where they may and just hope that we get some good rolls. And that is, I've been working on this Ottoman strategy for a little while, trying to figure out the best way. Should they attack Transjordan? Should they attack Mesopotamia? Tie those troops down so they can't attack forward. And after running through a bunch of possibilities, taking this consolidated defensive stance was the best option I could come up with to try and reduce the chance that any of these primary territories get taken. I think that it's highly likely, based on the types of forces involved, that we are going to end up in economic collapse by our second turn, which is still better than political collapse, but we need to hope that the Germans and Austrians break through against Russia. Because if we fall and Russia falls, then that's not nearly as bad. But if the Ottomans fall and Russia is still alive, that spells major problems for the Central Powers. So, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And I will have the Italian video, which is the next country to go, ready to go here before too long. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to posting a new one soon.